Hi, guys. Hello. We will wait for some of you. Hi. We're going to set up our cash finders tonight. We'll give everybody a couple minutes to kind of get in. If you have any questions, you can start asking them. All right. So I'm going to start to set up my cash finders. So I hope everybody had a chance to get this. I had posted it on, I posted it on Amazon on my thing. I posted it on my website. So in my bio here on TikTok, if you click, my website is there, and I have all of this stuff down there. In particular, I hope you guys did get this. Just a reminder, this is the first time that I am using a cash system. So when I started my cash-free, my debt-free journey 4 years ago, I did not use the cash system. I didn't do it this way. I had used an app, which I can't remember the name of the app. I'm gonna have to go back and look. It's actually an app by Dave Ramsey. It was one of his recommended apps. And it was all digital. And the reason why I opted to do that 4 years ago was because a lot of my bills, and I'm not sure if you guys are have the same setup, but a lot of my bills are automatically coming out. So they're already set up. So like my mortgage comes out automatically. Let me just look at some of my bills. So just going over, I have my monthly budget in front of me. I hope you guys do too. So when I look at, like, all right, I'm looking at my monthly bills. My mortgage comes out automatically. My cell phone bill comes out automatically. All my insurances, my life insurance, my car insurance, they all come out automatically. My car lease comes out automatically. I have 2 loans, they come out automatically. Even my Terminex, which if you watch my video from today where I posted Terminex, somebody asked that question. Somebody had asked that question. Somebody's asking to go live with me. I'm sorry, dude, not right now. I'm not going live with anyone. I feel like we need to get our little family together. And I need to be present for you guys. We're not ready to have tons of people here hosting with us. I think that you guys are going to have a lot of questions, and I'm going to stay on for a little while tonight to be able to ask some of them. So just to kind of give you an overview of what I was saying. So somebody had already asked the question, what do you do for bills that are you only paying them quarterly, or you might only have them once every other month? So what you do for that, so like my Terminex bill, I posted a video on that. If you didn't see it, go back and check it out. My Terminex bill is quarterly, so quarterly is once every 3 months, which is 4 times a year I pay it, and it's like $161 every quarter. So every 3 months, I know that I'm going to have that $160 to pay my Terminex. So I don't want anyone to, people keep interrupting me, sorry. Cheers. It's a Sunday night. Let's kind of drink while we're talking about money, because I know that money stresses a lot of people out, and I am going to help you. Hopefully I will keep you from being stressed. So cheers, my debt-free family and friends. Let's have a little drink. And let's start the night. So my Terminex bill, like I was saying, it's due quarterly. So once every 3 months, I have to pay $161. So what you do is you take that $161, you divide it by 3 months. That comes out to roughly $50 a month. I made a mistake in my budget. I did $50 per paycheck, which is twice a month, but it's only $50 a month, so it would be $25. I wasn't erasing everything. I realized it as I was doing the filming, and it didn't catch on until I was editing right before I posted, and I was like, forget it. I'm not going back and readjusting the whole entire thing because I messed up over $50, my budget over $50. But if you make a typo and you make a budgeting error, definitely go back and fix that. Um, so yeah, the best way to handle bills that aren't due on a monthly basis is to get an average of them. If you don't know what it's going to be every quarter, sometimes we don't know what the bills are going to be every quarter. Sometimes, like water bills. I know here in New York, water bill isn't necessarily due every month. I think it's due every 3 months. Also, it's quarterly, and I don't really necessarily know what the bill is going to be. You do an average of it. You average out. What it was. If it's a 3 month bill, you average out what it was, like maybe the past two bills, which would give you a 6 month, or you can go back to what it was that year before. So, like, if my bill for the water is going to be due September 1st of 2021, I could go back and look and see what my water bill was for September 1st, 2020. And that should give me a good indication of approximately how much money that bill is going to cost me. Um, that's where you're going to leave yourself some kind of like some wiggle room in there to be able to have money in case you didn't appropriately budget for some expenses. That's why, just reflecting back on my budget that I had done. So I'm just going to kind of look at it while I talk to you guys. I had 227 left over, and I put it as incidentals, just in case something happens. You never know. I mean, something could just all of a sudden happen, and you need new brakes on your car, your water heater goes, you need a new filter for your pool, your animal, your pet goes needs to go to the vet. So there's those unexpected expenses. So for me, I left the 227 as incidentals. um, we're gonna go over setting up our cash system first. Let me just see if anybody, snowball, you want to talk about the snowball. So the snowball method. So I spoke about it briefly because after I did my whole budget, I had somebody comment and say, "There's no credit cards. What do I do if I have credit card debts?" And like I've been saying all along for the past week, I don't have credit cards. That was what was kind of keeping me held back from being able to get out of debt, was credit cards. Um, high interest every single month, paying minimums, and the balances are barely going down. And the snowball method, which I spoke about in today's video, so go back and check it out if you didn't see it, is definitely, it definitely works. That is one of Dave Ramsey's methods. When I came, just to kind of give you a background information or knowledge on like where I started 4 years ago. So I was in like roughly $25,000 worth of credit card debt. Two major credit cards, two store credit cards, and then Amazon Prime. Also, I had an Amazon credit card, and the two big ones were maxed out. Um, so I was like, my monthly payment was no longer $50 a month. My monthly payment on one credit card that was like $12,000, which my credit limit was, 12,500, and I had 12,000 on it. My monthly payment was like 550 a month. So, and that was the minimum. So I'm paying 550 a month for this one, and then I had another one that was like 450 a month. I mean, by the time I looked at it, I had like, $1,500 $1,600 a month that I was allocating towards these credit cards, and all I was doing was paying the minimum. Next month, the bill was coming in, and it was like this vicious cycle. I was just trapped in this vicious cycle. So if this is where you're at, I feel your pain because that's where I was. So trust me, with following the steps that I've been giving you, it will lead towards being able to get yourself from underneath on top. So as far as the snowball method, so I had in the budget left over in my own personal budget after everything. Um, I had $1,500 that I was allocating to sinking funds. So I don't know why I folded this. So all of my fixed and variable debt. So when I added all of that up on the two checks that we get paid per month, we get paid on the 1st and the 15th. Um, when I added up the fixed and the variable debt, it comes out to 64.97, so just shy $6,500. Um, I used, for the sake of my budget, for what I'm sharing with everyone, I Googled what the 2021 US average salary was, which I explained in my video today, is 53,400, or roughly 1028 a week. So I get paid once every 2 weeks. So that would be, you double that, so that's 2056, 20, roughly 2056 a paycheck according to the US national average. And then since we're a two income home, I doubled that. So that means every 2 weeks it's 2056 plus 2056, which comes out to 4112 every 2 weeks, which comes out to 8224 a month. That is the budget that I used. I felt that I was trying to um, keep somewhat of my own personal business somewhat confidential, but also I wanted to be transparent as far as like my expenses, and I wanted to be relatable. And I felt like going off of the national average, US average salary would make it, is something that's somewhat relatable. Um, Also, just speaking in my own, as far as my own budget that's concerned. Um, I put down for my monthly budget of $1,600. As I said in my video, my monthly budget for my mortgage I have is 1,600. That is half of what my actual mortgage is. My mortgage is actually 3,200. So our salaries are higher than what the U.S. Average salary is, and my mortgage is higher than what I'm showing you on here. But in order for my mortgage to kind of work with all of my fixed and variable expenses and within the constraints of the salary that I'm using, um, I felt that this would, cutting that mortgage payment in half, would replicate a more relatable budget to my followers. So I felt like 1,600 is probably an average mortgage or rent payment, just having friends that live throughout the United States. Don't forget, I live in New York. I live on Long Island, New York. We are notoriously known for expensive homes and even more expensive taxes. So my mortgage is much higher than that, but I'm only accounting for 1,600. So how I'm doing that with my budget, as far as what I'm showing you, everything that's left in the bank, all that surplus of our salary, and obviously is going to go to the other half of my 1,600 that I'm not showing you, that I'm budgeting, right? There's 1,600 right off the bat that has to go towards that mortgage payment that I'm only accounting for in my budget for 1,600. So I hope that kind of clears up some of that. So now going back to the snowball, I have all those sinking funds. I had $1,500 left over in the sinking funds. I have Chris in my personal sinking funds. Everybody's um, uh, fixed expensive, variable expenses, and sinking funds are all going to be different. Okay, different. They might be similar, but they might even be different dollar amounts. Okay, so what I save for Christmas might not be the same as what you save for Christmas. You might not even celebrate Christmas. You might be saving for a different holiday, or birthdays might be more celebrated. So it obviously it's all personal. Um, of my 1,500. Now, when I originally did my my budget 4 years ago, let's just hypothetically say I had that $1,500 that that would have been left over. It really wouldn't have been that much. That 1,500 was pretty much, like I said, going to just pay the minimums on all of the credit cards. What you do, and here is how the snowball method works. What you do is you list all of those credit cards that you have. Um, you list the dollar amounts like the total amount of what you owe on all of them. You list the interest rate for all of them, and you list the minimum amount due and when they are due and when the payment is due. Most credit cards, like big credit cards like Chase, TD, and stuff like that, they're all due like around the 16th of the month, 15th or 16th of the month. And then what you do is you prioritize. You start with the lowest total. So let's say one of those credit cards, let's say I'm just going to use a piece of paper. Let's say that of your, let's say that we have, like what I did. I had Chase number one. This is going to be too light to show you guys. Good thing I have all those colored pens, right? So I had Chase number one, and that was 12,500, roughly like 12,000. So it was a minimum of 500 a month. Then I had Chase number two. We had two different credit cards. I can't remember the exact numbers, but let's say that was 10,000, and that was like 400 a month. And then we had Best Buy, which was 5,500, and let's say that one's like 150 a month. Then there was Amazon, which is like, and Target. $1,275. All right. So this is just a hypothetical of what I just wrote down. So let's say that these are all your credit cards. So let's say you have two big credit cards, 12,500, and another one for 10,000. The minimum that you have to pay for this one per month is 500. The minimum you have to pay for this one is 400. The minimum for Best Buy with a $5,500 balance is $150. Amazon, I did them intentionally declining orders, so they were already in order. Amazon, $3,000 with a minimum of $125 a month, and then Target, $2,500 with $100 a month. It totals $1,275. Let's say that now, after I've done all my bills, I have $1,500, right? I have the $1,500, like what I used in my sinking funds. Well, right off the bat, from the 1,500, just to pay the minimum on everything, you have to take the 1,500 minus the 1,275. So it's 225. Okay. So right off the bat, if I had that $1,500 surplus, and then I need to now make a minimum payment of all my bills, $1,275 is going to cover all of my minimum payments. I have $225 left over. This is where the snowball comes in. You take your lowest debt, which in this case would be my Target card, which is $100 a month. I'm going to take the $100 a month and the additional $225, and I'm going to pay for the month. I'm going to pay my $500 on Chase. I'm going to pay my $400 minimum on Chase, number two, $150 on Best Buy, $125 on Amazon, and then for my Target, I'm going to pay my $100 minimum plus my $225 that I still have left over. Okay. Then what happens is eventually you'll pay that down within a few months. Let's say it takes 6 months to pay that down. Now this debt is gone. So now you were paying the $100 plus the $225, right? So now we've been paying for 6 months. We've been paying $325 to Target. So now that $325 that we've been paying towards Target, once that bill is done, now you're going to go to the next lowest debt that you have. So in this case, it would be the Amazon. The Amazon, I've been paying all along my minimum so that I'm not affecting my credit score. I'm making sure I'm not accruing any late fees. I'm not using my credit card. That's another key thing. You're not using these credit cards. If you're committing to get yourself out of debt and on a debt-free journey, you're not using them. Okay, you're making a budget that's realistic. That's why I said in my videos, so go back and watch them, realistic. You have to be realistic and true to yourself. If you're going to set too tight of budget for yourself, you're going to go off the deep end, and then everything's just going to fall and you're not going to succeed and you're going to feel really defeated. However, if you stick to a realistic budget, then you'll be able to stay to this and you'll be able to do the snowball. So then what will end up happening is, now that the target is paid off, now that 325 that you've been sending to Target every month for the past 6 months, you can now add that 325 to the 125 that you've been paying for Amazon. So now it's plus 125. I'm writing upside down. So now it comes out to $450. Oh, I had to put my 5 backwards. Now it's $450. Now to Amazon, you're not paying $125 a month. You're now paying $450. Now you're going to pay $450 every month. And now when that bill is done, now you have your $450 plus the $150 that you've been paying to Best Buy. You understand how it's snowballing? You're taking that little bit and you're adding it to your lowest monthly payment, and you're on your lowest bill. And then once that bill is done, you take that dollar amount and you add it to the next one. Then once you've paid that down, you add it to the next one, and it keeps snowballing. If we keep going, by the time you get up to here, pretty much all of that original 1275 is going right back to your first bill. And now your $12,000 bill is going to get paid off in 10 months, right? 1275 a month at $12,000. I mean, you're not, that's why I said this took me, 4 years to get out of debt. 4 years, because and that was with $1,500 a month to be able to pay my minimum and whatever left over. So some people have already commented and asked me, what do I do if I don't have a surplus? What if I'm like living that tight on my budget and I don't have an extra surplus? Then you need to figure out where you can cut back. That's what your variable expenses are for. So like when I look at my variable expenses, which I did my variable in red, I have cleaning people that come to my house. That was the first thing that stopped. I stopped doing that. That's $250 a month. It's a luxury service. It's not a necessity. And if I want to get out of debt, I have to forego that luxury right now so that one day I can get to being able to have those kind of things. Sometimes we get so caught up in wanting to be impulsive and do things that make us feel good. And although that's good, budget for those moments. If you really want something that you've had your eye on, I'm not saying don't get it, budget for it. Put it in your budget. Have a line item that's for that. When I went for a girls' weekend away a couple of years ago, I budgeted for it. I knew that I was going to want to have money to, go out for dinners and just whatever it was. I wanted to have an extra amount. You budget for it. So I'm not saying that you have to, deprive yourself of things that you are used to having right now. It's just that you have to budget for it. All right, I feel like there's a lot of comments. Let me just see. Thank you to everybody who is following, who's just started following me. Thank you. I want to see if I missed. Hopefully I answered the snowball. I will continue to answer that and explain it every time that I have a host, every time I host a live, if the question continuously comes up. I mean, do you put credit cards under the fixed section? No, your credit cards are, they're going to go into your sinking funds for right now. You would really put them more under your variable, right? Because right now you're only going to pay the minimums and then you're going to snowball them. They kind of could be a subcategory all on their own. Yes, they're going to be part of your asset where you know that you have to, budget for them every month, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to budget the same amount, right? Like I just explained with this example, Target's not going to get the $100 this month. Target's going to get the $325 because that extra money is going to my Target. Let's see. You're welcome. After you get out of debt, did you continue to use the credit cards? Okay, good question. So actually this month, and I didn't put it in here in my budget for this month, because I already had the money put aside. I did. I used my credit card. I owe $3,800 this month. I charged $3,800. That included a trip to Hershey Park, um, a weekend in Atlantic City. I know I posted a video where I went to AC, but I didn't go this weekend. I actually went last weekend. And my girlfriends and I did not get dressed up. So I was feeling myself the other night and just put on some makeup and got dressed up. So I did that video, but I actually did not get all dressed up when I went. So I had to make up for it this weekend. Um, my $3,800. I also did 2 weeks ago, I took my boys. I have two teen boys that are going to be a junior and senior this year. I took them to college visits, all those hotels, and all those spending expenses. That was a part of it. I am going away Tuesday into Wednesday night out east for a night with one of my friends. And next week, not this weekend, the weekend after, we're going to more college visits. Where then we're going to Niagara Falls and then going to Lake George. So all those hotels and everything are all on there. So yes, I use the credit card. I only use the credit card um, for things that, number one, I budgeted the money for, or number two, I have the money in the bank to pay for. I will not carry a balance over from month to month. That's the point where I'm at right now. I just know that I have a tendency to spend a lot, and I could get very careless if I don't keep an eye on a credit card. So if you can relate, let me know. um, all right, let's see. You turned in too late. No problem. All right, let's get back to the we'll answer more questions as you guys have. Because I could be here all night just rambling on. For those of you that are interested in knowing, um, I am I posted it in one of my videos also. Um, I have my undergraduate in finance, which is how I know this stuff. And then I have my master's degree in education. Um, I did my first set of masters in business education, special education, and elementary ed. And then I went back and got a second master's for administration, school building leader, and school building admin. I'm currently, and I have been for 19 years, working in public schools. I am a public school educator. I've been out of the classroom now for quite a few years. I'm the dean, but my friends and family always come to me when it comes to money questions. I've always been a number cruncher, and I love doing this. All right, so over to just to kind of give you a little bit about me. Um, I am going to put all my cash envelopes in. I'm opening this and doing this with everyone. So go get your cash envelopes um, if you didn't already put yours together. I was going to put it together this morning. Then when I woke up and I saw that I had over 1,000, I said, I'm going to wait and do it tonight with everybody. I figured the budget was kind of a lot to process too. Um, so if you purchased the A6 envelopes that I did that were on my Amazon, that were on my website, that was on my website, which was linked to Amazon. Then it comes with 12 of these little cash envelopes. Um, Again, I am doing my budget and I am doing my system that works for me. Okay. What This is the first time that I'm using this. This is the first time that I'm using any kind of a cash system, period. When I did my debt-free journey last time, I didn't do it this way. I used, like I had said earlier, I used an app, one of the Dave Ramsey's cash apps, and it worked. It was great. Um, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I don't want to lose the stream, so I'll look for it later and I will definitely have it next time to share. Um, but I have a lot of expenses coming up. Like I said before, I have two teen boys. One's going off to college, and the other one will be the year after. So I know I have college expenses coming up. I know I have cars. So I'm going to need to get another car, which also means not only just another car payment, but it also means higher car insurance. And even if I don't get them a car, I'm still going to have to pay more car insurance because New York State knows that I have now teenage drivers in the house. So I want to kind of get back on saving, although I do have a fairly, nice savings account, and I do have some investments that have some passive income coming in monthly. Um, I want to get the cash system going, and I figured that I know people that have used this before and that have been successful with it, and like I just mentioned when I answered the question about do I use my credit cards, I have a tendency of being an impulse shopper. I will go to Target with a list, and this is what you need to do. Honestly, if you're going to go shopping and you are anything like me, if you can relate to me as far as being an impulse shopper, um, make a list and stick to it because, cheers. I know for myself. Um, that if I go to Target with a list and I go and I get the Tide and the milk and the detergent and the deodorant and the shampoo and conditioner and the dog snacks, as I'm walking by the pajamas, I'll be like, that's cute. I need that. Oh, right. You know what? I need a new pair of sandals. Oh, I forgot to get this. And I will just like grab. And next thing you know, I've spent like another, $70, $80 that I wasn't anticipating when I walked in there. So I really feel like this is going to help me stick to that list that I'm going to make. Um, so what I'm doing, what I did for myself, is I am only going to use in my cash envelopes um, my variable expenses, my expenses that I can control that vary every month, right? I don't, it depends. Like this is what I'm going to use. I already kind of figured out what I was going to put in my cash envelope. This is where I'm most tripped up, and this is where I have a tendency of going over budget. Um, Gas, not so much gas, but whatever. I'm home all summer, so I'm spending more money in gas than I normally would. Um, Groceries, restaurants, hair and cosmetics, entertainment, Terminex, because even though my Terminex bill is quarterly, I'm going to need to have that money put aside every month for the 3 months. Um, my pool is one of my loans, but it is not automatic. It does not come out automatically, so I'm actually going to do that. Um, and then my extra and incidental money. So my extra and incidental money is $227. So and this is on a 2 week budget. So that means every 2 weeks. So what I am going to do, oh, there's stickers. Cute. All right. I am going to start setting them up. So like I said, I'm going to use, I'm going to have an envelope for gas. And I guess it just goes like that. So I'm just gonna put it on and stick it. Then I'm gonna have one for groceries. All right. And then I'm gonna have one for restaurants. So in my budget, I wanted to talk about that too. Restaurants. Um, okay, so I put $100 for restaurants. Um, so that's really $50 a week for that's like one day going out. And that's not really even like going out. So I'm a family of five. If I was to go out even to the diner with a family of five, it's easily $100. But meanwhile, for restaurants, I only have $100 budgeted for a 2 week cycle. So why did I do that? Because we don't really go out that often. We order in more than we go out. It's cheaper to order in than it is to go out, number one. Number two, We always usually do like pizza or something like that on a Friday night, and it never usually costs that much. It usually only costs like $35. Um, so I figured if I put $100 in there and then um, in 2 weeks it's 60, $70, I'll have $30 left over. And then if we wanted to, there's money in there to go out once a month if we wanted to. However, I also have $100 put aside for entertainment. Um, I feel like for the summer right now, that's kind of like going to be used. And it's only $100 it's $200 for the month. It's $100 every 2 weeks. Um, I kind of looked at it like I would dip into that if I wanted to get like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or something like that because um, my kids are older and they're working and they have their own money. My two boys are. My daughter's only going to be 13. So it's like I feel like that's our entertainment. She'll be like, "Mom, let's go to Starbucks," and $15 later, I'm buying us, two coffees. So I'd rather use dip into that if I needed the money. So that's where I'm at with that. So my restaurant budget is a little bit lower. Hair and cosmetics. Which I feel like I did a very aggressive budget. Remember, I said be realistic. I'm not sure I was even 100% realistic on there because if everybody needs to get their hair and hair done at the same time, the same month, it's definitely going to cost more than that. Um, and then I have entertainment. And then I have Terminex. And that's also what that extra incidentals would be for. My pool, I have one for pool. And the last one I have is extra and incidentals. Okay. I have a bunch of envelopes that I'm not using because right now I only have 8. So I have 4 that I'm not using because it came with 12. Some of you might need to order more. I didn't think of that when I posted that. Whoops. Um, the A6 binder that I suggested on my website from Amazon came with 12. Um, I don't need all 12 of them. I only needed 8 of them. You might need more. I'm sure that you can order more A6 cash envelopes if you need more. We are not going to stuff this tonight because we got paid yesterday. One of us got paid yesterday, one of us got paid Friday. So I didn't get to go to the bank. So I'm actually going to cash stuff them tomorrow, which is fine. Just kind of going back and repeating myself for some of you that may have joined a little bit late. When I did this 4 years ago, I did not do the cash system. This is new to me. Um, the subcategories that I'm using in my cash system are the ones that I want to focus on the most and try to really stay within budget, especially the groceries, the restaurants, and the entertainment. So I kind of gave myself a a fair budget, but definitely something that is I wanted to use this for. I felt that although I was successful with my getting out of debt um, using just the app on my phone, um, I still would sometimes rely on the debit card. So that's another trick. Um, the whole point is if you think that you cannot, um, if you think that you're not going to be able to resist using your debit card, then I recommend using more of the cash system, and leaving your debit card and certainly your credit cards. Those should be like the last thing, right? We're trying to focus to get those, to get rid of those. Once you get rid of those credit cards, just think about it. Like I said, that extra surplus money, that $1,500, you can save that. You can put that every month, divided up into, Christmas funds and birthdays and all that. Right now, when those things come around, like I know the holidays are coming, you are going to have to start to, think about, if going back to the example that I used just a little bit earlier, like when I was doing it, if I had that $1,500 and those five bills, and the total of my five credit cards came out to $1,275, and I only have $225 left over, you're not going to get very far, right? That's only $450 a month, and that's the $450 that you would use for all your sinking funds. It's doable, but it's going to be tight. So, one of the other ways that I kind of freed up cash in my budget, was I went through all those variable expenses, like I started to say earlier, and I just started chipping away, from things that I didn't need anymore, right? It became like, what do I need and what do I want? So I started doing away with those wants, and I started like just sticking to like only budgeting for the things that I know I needed. I didn't need somebody to come and clean my house. It's nice, I wanted it, but I didn't need it. I didn't need somebody to come and cut my lawn. I wanted it, but it was not needed. Um, what were some other ways? I stopped ordering. I stopped going out to Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. I really did. I mean, that was really hard. Every morning, when school is in session, I'm up and I'm out the door at 6 o'clock, and at school at 7. So I am doing breakfast on the go, 5 days a week. I stopped that. I got into a pattern where I was, bringing something with me that I didn't have to stop. I was making iced coffee. I was making brewing a pot of coffee. I like iced coffee. Usually I like iced coffees, but I was brewing pots of coffee, and then I was making it. And then, for Christmas, I got a nice Keurig machine that does cappuccinos and lattes, and that's what I've been drinking. That's what I drink now. So I now, even still to this day, I mean, I do go out way more, frequently. I've definitely gone back to like going to Starbucks and Dunkin', but I'll sit at home and make a coffee too. So you gotta tell yourself, like, do I need this? Do I really need to, stop every day, and, or can I just make a sandwich and bring lunch to work with me? Do I really actually need to buy McDonald's for lunch or order from the deli with everybody at work? Like, those things add up. When I sat down and I added up how much money I was spending every single morning stopping at Dunkin' Donuts to get a coffee and an egg wrap, and then 3 days out of the week buying lunch with my coworkers because I was too lazy or tired the night before or whatever to actually make myself a lunch. It was, I mean, like $10 for lunch, and then another 15 bucks. It's $45. If I did that 3 days a week, that's $45. And then still another five, it's like, that's like $55 a week just on breakfast and lunch. It's insane. So when you really think about that, it's definitely like I could definitely cut back somewhere. So I cut back there, and then what you do with that extra money when you make those cutbacks in your budget, and you stop, treating yourself to those Dunkins and those Starbucks, you put that money towards one of your credit cards. Even though it's $5, it doesn't matter if it's $5 every single day. That's $35 a week, even if you're going on the weekends. If you're just going during the week, still, it's $25 a week. That's another $100 you're adding towards that minimum payment. If your minimum payment's 100, now you can send 200. You're not just sending 100. You're going to pay down your debt quicker. Um, um, I stopped getting pedicures. I would just treat myself to a pedicure on a rare occasion. I still got my nails done. That was something that I felt I needed to get done. I wasn't, I wasn't, it was still something that oops, sorry, turned off the light. That was still something that I needed. Um, what else did I do? How else did I cut back? My groceries. How did I cut back on my groceries? I started shopping at places that were discount and more affordable, like Aldi or a Lidl. If you have an Aldi or a Lidl in your area, I highly suggest shopping there for um, maybe not your meats. I mean, I go there and I buy meats to, I mean, it depends. It depends. It depends what you like. But all their like boxed products, my kids were really picky about cereal, so the cereal didn't work. But the cases of water, their milk, all their like cheeses and the bacons and the orange juices and the half and halves and the whipped creams, all that, their frozen vegetables, all that, and their produce and their vegetables. What I found, at least here in New York, at the ones with me, was that they were usually ripe right away. So I would buy stuff, and it would cost me it was cheaper to buy the strawberries at Aldi. And even if I only, got half of the container of strawberries and had to throw the other half out because they spoiled, it didn't matter. It was still cheaper than buying it at my local, King Cullen Stop and Shop, or one of those larger, like if you're buying Myers or something like that. Um, so I definitely recommend, trying to look for discount ways to cut on groceries. Stay out of box stores. Stay away from Costco. Stay away from BJ's. If you are going to use them, because they are significantly cheaper with like um, their paper goods, their toilet papers, their, all that kind of stuff. Even your like Tide, your laundry detergent, your dish soaps, um, all that kind of stuff. It's definitely cheaper there, but just be very diligent, because what I found is that every time I would go into BJ's or Costco, every item I was picking up was at least $10. And next thing you know, I had $200, $300 in my cart, and I like didn't even have enough food to like make a week's worth of meals for my family. So just be very careful. I recommend trying to just like figure out and do like a once a month haul at those big warehouse discount places. Um, I don't know how you guys feel about Walmart. I mean, we have some Walmarts here on Long Island. I don't find them much cheaper than, you know, I don't know. I like going to Walmart because I feel like the variety, they have a huge variety compared to like Target. Target's variety of Target has good variety of cereals, but let's say Target's soup aisle, they have like nothing. But you go to Walmart, it's like it's like overload. But I don't necessarily think that they're 100% cheaper. I still found that I needed, like, I was really like, you have to be budget conscious. And if it means that like you're going to three different places, then you source out three different places for the week. Let's say you like to get your meats from like a certain store, then check out their online ads, check out the ads if you get the weekly paper for them, or just check out whatever their online ads are for the week, and buy and plan your meals around what's on sale. If pork is on sale for the week, then you're going to make pork. If, stuff like that. That was how I budgeted for a family of five, was looking and finding shopping sales, and figuring out what I was going to make each day based on that. Um, it's not easy. It takes preparation, and it takes time. And like I said in one of my videos, it takes dedication. If you're dedicated, I will be here to help kind of hold your hand throughout the whole process. I will answer any questions and support you guys. But it's not just a miracle. You have got to put your work into it. You have got to do your part. And you have to be true to yourself. It's not just, Cheryl said this is going to work, and you're still using your debit card or charging up your credit card. Um, something has to give. If you're on this vicious cycle of just using the credit card and paying it down, then you're starting at square one every month. Um, the other thing too, I don't know if I posted the video yet, but I made it. If not, I'll post it after this. Um, like I had mentioned earlier in my life, when I started this journey 4 years ago, I was kind of brought onto the whole Dave Ramsey thing. And even as somebody who has like a finance background, I'm no expert for myself. I'm still human, and I've made my fair shares of financial mistakes. Thankfully, I'm smart and I have the knowledge to be able to, get myself out of it. But whatever. So when I first was brought on to Dave Ramsey, I feel like I was in a hard place, like I felt like the bills were, I was, trying to like keep up with this lifestyle that I had created for us. But it ended up, in order to do that, a lot of it became debt based, and it wasn't, ended up not really, in the long run, it ended up hurting me. Um, so I read Dave Ramsey's book. I listened to his podcasts. Um, he is, he's like a genius, right? He's so super smart. He's his philosophies and his practices definitely will help you get yourself set up for a debt-free life. So will this. So will this. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer. Maybe there'll be months where you have to make adjustments. Maybe there'll be months where, you won't be able to save, or you won't have that extra money to be able to put towards. That's fine. That's fine. Um, just like anybody who's been on a weight loss journey, I know for myself when I've gone up and down on the weight scale too, right? Sometimes I work my butt off, and you know I want to, after like 3 months of sticking to like a tight diet, all of a sudden I'm craving those like Reese's Pieces or something. I'll do it. I'll have it. You got to allow yourself to, you only live. You got to treat yourself too in the whole thing. So life is a journey. So, if that means that, you want to buy yourself, some new clothes to go back to work, or you need some new sneakers, or you're going to go to the gym and you really want to get a gym membership. Um, I say budget for it. If that means, you have to give up stopping at Dunkin' every morning and getting your coffee and your eggs so that you can go to the gym, then you do it. Um, it's all about rearranging your priorities. However, going back to Dave, good old Dave Ramsey. So I felt I didn't stick entirely to his plan. I felt like he was very rigid, right? Before you go on to step two, you have to have step one. Well, step one is pretty good, right? Step one for Dave Ramsey is that you have to have $1,000 in an emergency fund. I think that's a great idea. And his theory behind why it's $1,000 and the importance of $1,000 um, is that if something comes up, if an emergency happens, you get a flat tire, you need brakes on your car, your water heater broke, you need whatever, usually it's $1,000 or less, and that's what pushes people, because they don't have that money. That's what pushes them to use the credit card, because they didn't have the cash on hand, and it's a small amount of money. It's seven, six, seven, $800, and they didn't have it. So let me just use the credit card. And now that $700 that you needed to charge for the emergency has now become this. It's now every month you're paying, it's the balance is still 600, 700, and you've just been paying this minimum because you still don't have the minimum amount too. So I'm just looking at the comments. All right. So to if that $1,000 in an emergency fund is really great. Bank when I started this debt-free journey, um, and it took me a couple of months um, to kind of accept the fact of what Dave was saying, that you really only need 1,000. I felt like I needed more than that in savings just in case something happened, but by taking that money and paying off. I was able to pay off like one credit card and I think one and a half credit cards entirely. It freed up all that extra money that I was paying towards the minimum, that I was able to snowball my um, payments quicker to my other credit cards. So it actually ended up helping me in the long run. So right now, my recommendation would be that you try to keep $1,000, that you get $1,000 aside. So that should be one of your line items instead of incidentals, maybe emergency fund. Like I have my in my cash thing as extra or incidentals. Maybe you would have one for emergency fund, and every month you maybe try to put, you know, $50, 75, whatever it is, whatever works in your budget. Um, to be able to work towards that $1,000. And then once you got $1,000 saved in the bank, just use all the extra money that comes in to just start paying down debt. Don't worry about it, because if God forbid something does happen, then you have the freed up debt on your credit card to be able to use it. But the quicker you get out of debt, the quicker you start freeing up like a substantial amount of your monthly income. All right. Do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for everyone that has followed me. What time are we at? Have any questions? Thank you for everyone that has followed me. What time are we at? All right. Anybody have any questions? Don't worry that you turned in late. Um, I'm gonna stuff these tomorrow. My cash envelopes. So maybe tomorrow I will go live for a little while. I had somebody else um, comment on one of my videos that they won't be able to attend the 8 p.m. live Eastern time because they're in the UK and they're 5 hours ahead of us. So I'm sorry to my friends that are overseas. I wasn't even thinking that. So thank you for making me more aware. And now I'll be more conscious to hold these lives at different times. So maybe tomorrow I will try to do a live tomorrow morning also. I have to drop my son off at work at 10:30 tomorrow, so I will try to maybe do one afterwards, maybe like 12, 1 o'clock. I'll get the cash and I will come back and we will stuff this and and we will make more. Hopefully, we'll have more questions and stuff. Um, okay, what do you suggest to do about saving money when you make minimum wage? Um, well, if you've added up all your fixed expenses and you've added up all your variable expenses, um, then I'm just going to throw out numbers just to make things easy. So let's say that you make $1,000 a month, and after you have all your fixed and your variable expenses, you have 600 has to get allocated. So now you have 400 left. That's like $100 a week, and you still need, money to live and whatever. Then that's where you start to sit down and you write yourself a very tight budget as far as how much money realistically do I need? You're going to need gas. You're going to need money for food. You know, I'm not sure, of your living status or circumstances. I'm hoping that I reach some people just starting off in their lives, like late teens, early 20s, fresh out of college, because I promise you this, I can promise you, if you listen to me and you do this, you will set yourself up for many years of success. Do not fall into the traps that so many of us have had. So going back to your question, so if you're making minimum wage, you just have to sit down and make a budget of come up with a realistic budget of how much money you think that you are going to need just to live and exist, as far as food and gas and any other overhead expenses that you may have, and then start eliminating the ones that are luxury. If you're getting your nails done, now's not the time. Um, you know, I mean, listen, like I just said before, you got to do what makes you feel good. But, if you want to try to get yourself ahead, um, then, then you need to cut some of, some luxury items or some frivolous spending. I don't know how realistic it is too, but you could also get a second job. Right now, I know here in New York, there are restaurants that are like closing early because they can't even get enough people. Go, do something that you can do around your schedule. If you could do something off the books, that's even better. Like if you have hours that maybe you could help like a neighborhood parent and watch their kid or something like that. That's another some kind of a source to bring in money. But if that's not an option, if you're already kind of tapped out um, with working and going to school or whatever else, then it's just a matter of line by line going what you need to pay every month, your fixed expenses, and kind of adjusting your variable expenses and getting rid of any of those extras that you can maybe temporarily stop to put things away. And also be specific about what you're saving for. Um, Savings is a very broad term. If you're concerned about saving for retirement, then I'm not sure where you work and if they have it, but I strongly recommend, contributing to like a 401k, 403b, a TDA, whatever it is that your company does. Um, that could be for right now while you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole, that puts your mind at peace that perhaps if I'm just putting 5% away into an IRA or a 401k, that is my long-term retirement savings, and just kind of let that put your mind at rest and at peace, so that way then you could worry about saving for other things. Start to prioritize your savings. If you're struggling with just getting a little bit of money, how realistic, is your Christmas or is your holiday budget realistic? What's your birthday budget like? Are you buying things for people? Maybe just a gift card. I know for me, I'm an educator. Just give me $10 to Starbucks. I'm going to be happy. And the bottom line is, I don't even need that. If you have kids, your teachers will appreciate gifts, but it's not necessary. And if it means, you have to, you know, forego a year or two of giving so that you could get yourself in a better situation and so that you can really give, and that's what you got to do. Um, all right. I do dog sitting and I work at a doggy daycare boarding place. I have three dogs. I'm a dog person. You hit the right person here. um, so I'm guessing you do dog sitting privately. Perhaps you could start to raise your bills a little bit. Um, I would maybe raise your fees. I don't know, how much it is that you're charging or how your pay scale goes or how you're coming up with what it is that what your rates are. But gas is not cheap right now. I would definitely, if my lawn people were like, hey, Cheryl, it's not going to be $25 a week anymore. It's going to be $30 a week because the cost of gas has gone up and we need gas to get our trucks to your house. And then we need gas for the lawnmowers. I'm going to get it, right? I'm going to get it. And if this is a service I still want, I'm still going to pay for it. So my first thing would be maybe you have to kind of, reevaluate what your rates are and how you're calculating them, and make sure that you're not cutting yourself, shortchanging yourself anywhere. I also working on finding a job that pays more than minimum wage. Um, Maybe I'll eventually broaden this to resume writing and interview skills when we get there. Being a business person, I could definitely help you with that as well. All right, if you have a small savings, I feel bills should be paid off before saving. What do you think? Absolutely. So I don't know if you were here when I was just talking about Dave Ramsey. So I was brought on to Dave Ramsey. Ooh, I'm off. I was brought on to Dave Ramsey 4 years ago when I started the journey, and I started the journey by listening to his podcast and reading his book. And his step one is I didn't do exclusively Dave Ramsey. I tweaked um, his whole balanced budget and debt free savings and all that stuff. I tweaked it to what worked for Cheryl. Um, but I listened to him then, and now in hindsight, I definitely agree. Um, $1,000 is all you need. Just keep $1,000 in an emergency fund. Do not touch it. Do not do anything else with it. You just leave it there. Because if, God forbid, you get a flat tire and you don't have AAA and you need to get your car towed and it costs $300, you don't have to use that credit card. You can use the $300 that you have at home. If, my house is run on oil, which now that I'm talking to you guys, I should remember to have to order my oil. If I'm going to order oil for my house, shoot, I forgot to budget for it for the month. I'm only going to put 200 in to get me, and then next month I'll budget and I'll put the 200 back. So, don't, that's what that money is there for. And if you find yourself having to dip into it, so that way then you don't use the credit card, you're better off doing that rather than using that credit card. So yes, I do think that, I don't know what small means in your world. But I think that Dave Ramsey's philosophy of keeping $1,000 is definitely a smart move. And let's say you have 3,000, then take that other 2,000. You don't need it. Put that other 2,000 towards paying down your debt and do it the same way that I said earlier as far as snowballing. Prioritize. I did a whole example of it. I'll just show you again quickly. Um, List all of your debt with the total amount, highest amount to the lowest, and the minimum amounts per month. And then that $3,000, look, if I had that $3,000, this bill was $2,500. I would pay that bill off all together. And then I'd put the 500 towards my next bill. Now that $100 a month that I was paying there, plus my surplus, I can snowball it and add it. So now I'm paying the $500 to pay down my debt from the 3,000 to 2,500, and then I'm going to pay the 450 a month on top of there because I snowballed my monthly payments. More than 10,000. You do not need. I mean, I shouldn't say it. So, um, do you have more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Because if you do, then you should probably just pay it off. Because in the long run, that 10,000 is, if you're not paying a significant amount every month, then your 10,000 is just wasted there. You're better off getting rid of the credit card debt and building that savings. It's less than that. Pay it off. Pay it off. Now you free up. What's your monthly on that? Let's say your monthly on that is, $250 a month you're paying. Now you're putting $250 every month. You could directly put that 250 right back to save it. Plus, if you go with a fine tooth comb and you go through your budget and you start to really seriously start to cut things out, you'll be able to save even more than that 250. Stop those Dunkin' runs, stop those Starbucks runs, stop going, getting the egg McMuffin in the morning or whatever, and just for a month, just put that money aside, and you'll put 500 away for the month instead of 250. And good job with more than 10,000. You have more than most people have. Any other questions? Cheers. I'm still drinking this. I hope everybody's having a drink along with me. I decided to do this outside tonight because I wasn't sure what was going on inside. um, three kids, three dogs. The house is sometimes very loud. So I'm sitting outside in the dark. I'm hoping I'll be able to do this inside, put some music on, and we can be a little bit more relaxed. Anybody have any questions on some of the things that I've already given videos for, like the fixed expenses? We all understand what fixed expenses are, those monthly bills. Um, those monthly bills that that remain the consistent. They're the same amount every. Um, okay, I see more questions. I have done a few share secure loans to keep my savings intact. You mean like CDs and stuff? Um, I mean that's fine. You're gonna get more interest from that than just keeping the money sitting in the bank. Um, I would not. I mean, I'm just trying to think. Honestly, if you have money that you're able to save like that, my recommendation would be to max out your 401k. Um, 1.6 is, I mean, that's good in terms of bank, but find out what your employer is giving and if they're matching. Your employer might be matching like 7%. That's way better than the 1.6%. So, my first thing as far as like investments, and I'm not a guru on investments. Um, I want to help people more with like their personal budgeting, but I do know enough about it. But I would definitely, first thing would be max out your TDA. First of all, it lowers your taxable income. Um, so it lowers you every time you're going to get paid. It decreases your taxable income, and then when you file your taxes, and then when you take it out, it's all pre-tax dollars. So it's like a win-win. And this is where I'm like hoping that I'm speaking to a young audience, or at least somebody out there is young and listening to me. Please max out your retirement plans as soon as you can, as young as you can. That is the one thing that I was not only told from a young age, I learned it while I was going to school for finance and earning my BBA. I then learned it again throughout, like, any retirement planning or anything that I went to. And I still just didn't do it because I let my lifestyle get in the way of appropriately and properly saving. So I really hope that, you know, there are some people that are just starting out, some young followers that are just starting out, fresh out of college. Um, the best thing that you could do to yourself is max out any retirement system that you have. Um, do you budget for your dogs? So I have two things for my dogs. First, they all have Healthy Paws insurance. I did Healthy Paws. Um, And I have three dogs, like I said. Two of them are pandemic puppy dogs. One of them just turned a year in April, and the other one is 11 months today, August 1st. I didn't realize that his birthday is September 1st. Um, my older dog, um, I had two dogs that were older, and one of them died very unexpectedly, very suddenly, and very tragically last year. Um, had a flipped stomach. He was a golden retriever, 7 years old, and his stomach flipped. And $15,000, $15,000 to have surgery, and they couldn't even guarantee me a 10% chance that he would live. Hardest decision I had to make, but when you have a family and Did I have the money in the bank? Yes, but I did not, I just couldn't, I just couldn't. And that's a personal thing. And, everyone has to do what they feel is best for their family. And that's going to be a motto that I'm going to continuously say throughout, like, from this point forward in our, friends and family in our group. Um, you do what's best for your family. And that was not the best decision wouldn't have been for me to go through that financially. So unfortunately, we had to put him to sleep. And what killed me was that I had healthy paws. And literally, once he turned like 7, and he was 7.5 when he died, they like doubled the rates. So I was so pissed, I dropped it. I was like, if something happens. It was like, so I learned my lesson. I said, I'm never ever going to do that again. I'm going to get insurance and I'm going to keep it, because it really was an eye opener that the unexpected could happen. So I have healthy paws insurance on all of them. And then additionally, for the two younger ones, the pups, I have through PetSmart. I don't know if they have this in your area, but PetSmart has in certain locations, they have it's called Banfield Vet. So they have like a vet clinic within some of their PetSmarts. It's not in all of them. And they're totally affordable. They're all vets. It's all legit and legal, and they're great. And they offer like a puppy plan. And I did that for the first year. It was like $50 a month, and then it covered all of their vet visits, all of their vaccines, all of their like immunizations and everything. Their a discount, or even their flea and tick treatment, and it covered them getting spay or neuter as well. So I did that, and I literally paid like next to nothing out of pocket, except for my one dog, the middle one, the one that turned 1 in April, because figures he has a severe allergy to vaccines. So I always need to pay the additional $20 when he goes to get a vaccine, because they need to give him a shot of Benadryl so he doesn't go into anaphylactic shock. He blows up like a tick. All right. All right, let's see. Oh no, I'm giving up on everything. What do you mean? You can't give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. If you need to, I have my email in the bio. Just send me a personal email, and I will try to help you out with the best I can. Do not give up. Giving up is not going to get you any further in this journey. It's just going to leave you in the same spot. So just don't give up. Okay, go back. Maybe now's not the right time. Maybe the right time for you is just to listen, and just to hear, and just to kind of be influenced and motivated, and learning from everyone else. But just don't give up. Okay, you're giving up on yourself, and I'm not going to give up on you, so don't give up on yourself. um, all right. If in debt, should you just invest in what company matches if paying higher interest on credit cards? All right, I was failing to do this. I'm going to have to do this. This is where you can really tell my age. My youthful glow is not showing through. I need to put my glasses on. Oh, they're dirty. And my ring light is gonna go right through them. All right, what does that say? If in debt, should you just invest in what the company matches if paying high interest on credit cards? If you could, here's my suggestion. If you can max out on your retirement through your job, and because that's going to reduce your budget, right? Your salary that's coming in, because the more money that you're going to invest, then the less money that you're going to have take home. But it's going to reduce, it's not going to reduce it as much as you think. Look online, start Googling like retirement savings calculators and things like that. There's calculators online, free websites that'll allow you to put in like your pre-tax dollars and how much money, if you put into like, let's say 10%, whatever, it'll tell you what your after tax would be. So my recommendation is actually no. If you can invest the most amount, max out, and then when your take home money is still able to cover your fixed, your variable, and still putting extra money towards your credit cards, then do it. Even if it's a little bit less, then do it. Trust me, because even though you're thinking of right now, maybe it'll take you an extra year to get out of debt, but all that extra money that's um, compounding interest right now for you in 20, 30 years from now, you will thank that you did it. So no, my recommendation would actually be try to max out. And if you can still live and budget and satisfy all of your budgeting, um, then try to do that. Uh, my dogs are everything to me, but my dog just had pancreatitis and it cost like 3 grand. I know. I'm very sorry. I have had two golden retrievers. Both of them have had cancer. Even the one that just died, the one that died last June, died of a flipped stomach. But he also had cancer. And my first golden retriever had malignant melanoma at an early stage. And then we had that treated and ended up dying of like a kidney cancer. And my Cooper that died last year had a tumor, a cancerous tumor in his arm also. And because we had been through so much trauma with our first golden, we just he developed it one who was like 5.5, 6. We were like, we're just gonna give him the best life possible, and that's what we did. Um, it, vet bills are no joke. My dogs are whining to come out right now. Vet bills are no joke. They are very expensive. If you can afford to get some kind of an insurance on them, then I would recommend doing it because that $3,000 surgery, like with Healthy Paws, they cover 80%. So 80% would only be 900 that I'd have to pay. No, 600 that you'd have to pay, and they cover all the rest of it. So, you know, it's a big difference, right? If you had the Healthy Paws and you only had to pay the six. However, the way that they work is that they don't, you have to pay it out up front and then they reimburse you the 80%. So a lot of vets will offer a care card. Okay. So if you can, this is in this kind of a circumstance, what I would recommend is that you open up a care card. And then you would charge the 3,000. You would then file your claim. You would make your monthly payment next month of 300 because you know that they're only going to cover 80%, and 80% means that you're going to have to lay out 600. So you might as well make your $600 payment, and then by the time you get the money back from your claim, you'll be able to pay off the care card. So it's basically like I do play like now that I'm debt free. I play the system. I play the cards. Like if they're giving me 0% interest, like on my pool, like I said to you guys, I have in my cash system, I have my pool. I'm paying $500 a month. My pool isn't $500 a month. My pool is only $325 or something a month. But I'm paying the extra money because I want to try to pay it down a little bit sooner. So I'm budgeting $500 a month for it. It was 0% interest. Why was I going to take $20,000 out of the bank to pay for the pool when I could get the pool and easily put the 500, easily put the 325. I was able to put more aside for my budget. So I was like, I'm going to leave the money in my savings, and I will take the money out and just use. It's starting to rain. It's starting to rain. I have a covering on. Hopefully it doesn't make me have to end too soon because I see I have a lot more questions. All right. Yes, you need to focus on paying one credit card debt at a time. Yeah, then that's the snowball method, which I'm going to go over again when I do it again. My cat, we went over this, right? Oh, B12 shot monthly and prednisone every other day. Okay. I'm very sorry. Okay, thanks. I have a lease. This is where, like I said sooner, someone said, what if we have a lease? I lease. Okay. This is where I have said already a couple times during this live, and I'll say it again. I read Dave Ramsey. I listened to his podcast. I like a lot of his stuff, but some of his stuff is a little bit too rigid for me. Dave's philosophy on cars is you get You have no credit card, you have no car payment, and you just get like, whatever you can afford. If you only have like $3,000 in savings and you buy a car that's for $3,000, that philosophy does not work for me. That philosophy does not work for me. Yeah, lease for I lease a truck. The reason why it doesn't, I'm going to tell you why it doesn't work for me. Like I've said a couple of times, I'm a mother. I have three children. More than 10 years ago, I want to say probably, well, my daughter was born, so she'll be 13. So it was probably more like 11, 12 years ago. I had bought a certified pre-owned truck, and actually I leased the truck. And then I kept getting all these offers in the mail. I tell this story to kids when I'm teaching them in business classes. So listen, because every kid wants to get a brand new car, and these lease deals, they make it sound like you can get a brand new deal. However, um, so I was leasing the truck, and then maybe like a year and a half into the lease, I got a letter from the lease company saying that I could buy the car out, keep my payments the same, and I could pay for it over, 60 months, same car payments. I was like, you know what? This is good. It's a good car. It was a Volvo XC90. I felt like I was, I was paying a decent amount per month. I was like, oh, they're going to give me this. I went there, they gave it. Hmm. Little did I know, my brand new car that was a lease, when I went to buy it, even though I was the only driver of the car, it became a certified pre-owned vehicle. The warranty changed, right? When you buy a used car, it's different than when you buy a new car. So I completely got railroaded. And then the car had one problem after another after another. It just happened to just, and I was just, and then the type of car that it was, being that it was a Volvo, and it has all these codes, and the only place I couldn't even take it to a mechanic because they didn't even have the mechanisms to be able to read the codes to let them know what was wrong with the car. You had to go back to Volvo, and then Volvo was expensive. It was a nightmare, and I felt like it didn't matter when they told me it was like $3,000 to get something that I could have gotten done at the mechanic for 1,500. I had to pay 3,000. I had to get it fixed because it was my family car. And I made the decision at that point. I was never going to be in this predicament where I had to choose between getting the car fixed and having a reliable car with my family. So for me, I've opted to lease. I have one lease and one I've bought out. And I'm glad I did, because I just leased a 2020 truck. I got it during the COVID. It was in May 2020. And I mean, I'm very happy with the truck. Don't get me wrong. But all of a sudden it started making a noise maybe like 2 months ago. And I went back to Acura and I was like, it just doesn't sound right. And the guy he's like, all right, we'll look at it. He calls me within the hour. He's like, oh, it was shifted into the wrong setting, whatever. It was in comfort mode. It needs to be in normal mode. And we programmed it so it'll stay in normal mode now. I get the car back. I'm like, still sounds like it's a little bit funny, but it passed inspection. It needs to be inspected too. Passed inspection. Okay, it's all good. Drive the car all the way to Hershey from Long Island, all the way to Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and back with my family of five. And I'm like, now I'm getting ready to go upstate New York to take my boys by myself to like 5 campus tours in 3 days to college campuses. And I'm like driving, I'm like, I'm gonna have to drive all by myself. I'm like, the car just doesn't sound right. I'm going back. Called Acura back, went there. Hours later, the car, I dropped it off at like 7 in the morning. Guy calls me back at like 3. He's like, it needs a whole new rear axle. I'm like, what? I was like, how does that happen? The car has like 10,000 miles. He's like, I don't know. I don't know how that happens. Meanwhile, when I went there, he's like, thank God that you were insistent in bringing the car back. Because if that axle would have went when I was driving 70 miles an hour on the highway, God only knows what could have happened. So it was again, this is why I lease. The axle was like, it was like a $5,800 job. Cost me Zippo because it's under warranty. So another hidden blessing in leasing. Yes, you're constantly in this trap of making payments per month, but you have a reliable car, and if God forbid something goes wrong, it's good. I don't know if they have them in your area. What I will tell you is I have a lot of friends that had been using it, and I just used it myself. If there's a leasing company in your area, I recommend going to a leasing company. So in my area, there's a bunch of leasing companies. I know so many people in my town that have used them. I recommended them to a close friend of mine. She ended up using them. I ended up using a different leasing company, but another leasing company that I was referred to by a coworker of mine. And they're able to negotiate. They just want to make the deal. They want to make the sale, quote unquote. They are so much more willing and flexible to work with you than the actual dealerships. So if there is a leasing company in your area, I highly recommend, if your lease is coming up and you're going to stay in that leasing for the same reason it works for your family, like it works for mine. Again, what's my motto? Whatever works for your family. Okay. So if leasing works for your family, then I highly recommend them because they are able to get you great deals. And if anybody's in New York and they want my guy, I will give you his number. Just inbox me, send me a message. My email is on my bio. All right, let's see what else. We spoke about the lease for the car. Yes, thank you. Okay, good. Here's a little drink. All right. So I think I am going to answer this last question because someone just posted it, and then I think I'm going to hop off. Do you deal with leasing company if you have motor issues or the dealership? No, you go right to the dealership. You go right to the dealership. So, like I just said, I leased mine. I leased my 2020 Acura MDX through a leasing company, and I bring it right to the local Acura dealership the next town over, and it's under warranty. I might be late, but do you add in savings in your budget? Yeah, we've gone over this, but yeah. So as far as if going back to like my budget that I posted earlier today, um, that's where you can put in your sinking funds. You could put savings. So I kind of explained in detail. I don't have savings on mine, but just quickly, I use the salary I looked up what the US national average for 2020 is of a salary. I use that, no problem, don't be sorry. I use that to kind of have some discreetness towards my own personal finances, but yet still be somewhat kind of transparent to you guys. So I used that 2020 one national salary average of 1,028 a week. I get paid biweekly. We get paid biweekly, so I took that number times it by two, and then because we're a two-income home, I times that number by two. So it comes out to 82.24 a month, and I felt like that was pretty fair. So now our salaries are higher than that, so there is extra money outside of my budget that's in there. So I didn't put a line item for saving because the way that I budgeted, and since there is extra salary coming in versus what's on here, there is already money being saved. No worries, don't be sorry. Um, so we also spoke about snowballing. Um, list all your credit card debt. Start with the least amount and start paying that up. You pay the minimum on everything. Any surplus of money you put towards that smallest balance. So if you have $250 left over after you're making all of your minimum payments, then that 250 would go on top of that last bill. So if your minimum is 100 for that last bill and you had 250 extra, the 250 plus the 100 will go to the last one. So you'd have 350 that you're paying until that debt is gone. Then once that credit card's gone, then that 350 that you were paying per month, you put it to the next bill. So let's say the bill before that was $150 a month you were paying in a minimum. Now you're 350 plus that 150, so now you're paying 500 to that bill until it's gone. So my best advice right now would be to go back and look at all my videos. I started step one, two, three, and four. So step one, just to kind of give you an overview, was just setting goals for yourself. Right. So to set goals, you needed to set a short-term goal, which is within 6 months, a midterm goal, which is within a year, um, and then set a long-term goal, which is more than a year. And then your why, like, why is this? Why do you want to do this? Your why is very important. My why was my family, my mental health. I was fed up with like being up, stressed out about money, knowing that I was getting paid on the 15th, but on the 16th, I had like $300 to last me until the end of the month. And I wanted to get out of that cycle of and just help my, mental health. And I also wanted to be in control of my life. I wanted to be in control of my finances. So um, that was my why. So that is going to go on your front page of your planner, because you're going to have to look back on that. There's going to be times when you're going to have to make decisions, or you're going to really want to go out to dinner and do something. You don't feel like cooking, and then you're going to look back and you're going to be like, what's my why? What is my goal? What am I shooting for? Because sometimes it's like my journey took 4 years to get out of debt. 4 years. So if I didn't keep looking back at my goals and my whys, I could feel very defeated at times over and over again. So I needed to constantly like manifest like my why and get myself in the right headspace as to like why I was doing this and where I was going to be once I was done. Um, the next step, okay, of step two was your fixed expenses. So I have a whole video on what the fixed expenses are. Your third step is all your variable expenses. I have a whole video on that. So, and they're labeled step one, step two, step three. I tried to be really good at labeling things so that way then as you went back, it was easy to find. Step four is your sinking funds. Um, so that's going to be like the things that you want to save for. So like your, holidays, birthdays, your pets, your new car, a wedding, a house, new furniture, appliances, whatever it is for you. Everyone has different, sinking funds. And then today, excuse me, I posted my sample budget and how I got to it. So go back and look those over. And then if you have any questions, I'll probably do a live again tomorrow, because I know I have people across the pond over in the UK that aren't able to join us, that were sad, that had put comments on my videos because it's 5 hours later there. Okay, yes, ma'am, I will. Starting this tomorrow. Good. If you have any questions, please message me or comment on any of the videos. I'm trying to not skip any comments. I'm trying to be really intentional and get to them all. If I do skip it and it's something that you're really stuck up on, like you're stuck on and you're hung up on it, my email is on there. So just email me. It's debtfreeliving.ny, livin, Livin, ny at gmail.com. Thank you so much. I know I'm late, but thank you for answering. No problem. How much debt did you have when you started your journey? Um, like 25,000, 30,000. And I consider myself debt free because I don't have any credit cards. I do still have loans. Of course, this is where I've said over and over again, it's really starting to rain. This is where I've said over and over again tonight. Um, I didn't entirely follow Dave Ramsey. To me, what was most important was getting rid of those credit cards. Those high interest credit cards is what was eating up my extra money in my salary. Having a loan for a car, having a loan for student debt, having a loan for a pool or whatever, isn't, if it's a reasonable interest rate and you're paying it off and you're going to pay X amount for 3 years, X amount for 5 years, whatever. That's, I feel like I made that's a fixed asset for me. I'm not fixed asset. That's a fixed expense for me. I just included as one of my fixed expenses. My loans are fixed expenses. So, what do you do when your expenses are more than you're bringing in? You have to cut back. If your expense, then you're living outside of your budget, and you're just going to continue to sink further and further into that hole. You're never going to get out. So you have got to sit down, have a real heart to heart with yourself, be realistic. I have said it before. I will say it again. You will hear me say it over and over again. You need to be realistic. You need to be true to yourself. I can give you all the tips, but if you're not being true to yourself and realistic with yourself when you're setting goals and budgets, then you're not going to succeed. I'm going to give you everything you need to succeed, but you need to do your part and you need to be realistic. If you are overspending, if you're not bringing in enough to satisfy all your expenses, what's going out, if what's going out is more than what's coming in, then you need to cut back somewhere. Then you need to, we can have a personal, you can email me and I can try to help you personally, but you would need to really start analyzing and scrutinizing every single dollar. Oh, that's the name of the app. I couldn't remember the app. It's called Every Dollar. That was the app that I used 4 years ago. I'm gonna write that down so I remember that. So I would definitely be true to yourself, and you have to start accounting for every single dollar. Like, where is it going? Every dime, like, where is it going? Man, I feel defeated and your video just popped up. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Welcome friends. I feel as we continue to grow, we're going to turn into a family. So welcome. We're here to support each other. And I just want to see everybody, succeed. I'm just tired of living check to check. I was the same way. Like I just said, I knew I was getting paid on the 15th, and I knew by the 16th a bunch of bills were hitting, and I'd have a couple $100 to last me until the 30th of the month. It's not easy. It's very defeating, and it's just a matter of prioritizing. It's really just a matter of cutting back now and sacrificing now for the future. It might take a year, 2 years. It took me 4. I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight. It depends on how much. It's so easy to accumulate debt. It is so easy to use those credit cards. It's so easy, but it's not easy to always necessarily have the money to pay them off. I have more going out than I do coming in, and I'm a single mom. I feel you, Mom. And you just want to do what's best for your kid, for your child. I know, and that mom guilt is real, right? At the end of the night, crying because you feel like you can't do X, Y, and Z. So you need to start setting some goals for yourself. Go back to step one. Start setting some goals. And maybe your short-term goal is just going to be to get $1,000 or for an emergency fund, or maybe just $300 for an emergency fund, or maybe start putting money away for the holidays. I'm not sure. You got to do what's a goal that's good for you, but you have to reevaluate. That's why I have you listing for step 2 and 3, your fixed and your variable expenses. So that way then you can try and figure out where you can make cutbacks. You'll be able to make cuts. You just have to kind of figure out where to do those cuts. All right. I do not have a Facebook for this. I do have an Instagram. It's the same handle, Debt Free Living NY. I've been really focusing more on TikTok right now because I really want to try to target a large age range of followers, because as a mom of 3 teens, 2 of which are now, well, one is working and the other one is on the brink of working, and they're starting to get, a taste of money and what to do with it. And being an educator for 19 years in New York City public schools, um, I I want to try to teach these principles and practices and best practices as early as we can. And TikTok is just the platform for that. So um, I'm focusing more on TikTok. But go follow me on Insta also, which is Debt Free Living NY, just in case, because I see a lot of content creators that say that they get to like, crazy numbers and then they just get shut down. So I hope that doesn't happen here. Hopefully, I'm not violating any codes by offering people free, debt-free living tips. tips. What do I think of Dave Ramsey? I think he is a genius. I think that he is making a lot of money off of his debt-free um, principles, but I think that they're good. I've mentioned it a couple of times. I'll say it again. I was introduced to his philosophies 4 years ago. I read his book. I listened to his podcasts. Um, I think his step one is great, which is $1,000 emergency funds. Um, I tweaked a lot of his beliefs. I felt like some of some of his concepts were very rigid, and I didn't think that they would work best for me. And this is a personal journey. You have to do what you think is best for you and what is best for you and your family. He doesn't believe in leasing a car. I just gave the whole story as to why I believe in leasing. So um, he considers student loan a debt. I consider student loan, it's a fixed bill. I'm paying it every single month. I, to me, what was debt free was getting rid of the credit cards, high interest credit cards. That was what was chipping away at all of the extra money that could have been mine from our salaries. Were those credit cards and that debt. Having a student loan with 2% interest isn't gonna kill me. I felt like I wanted to get rid of the credit cards. Then I wanted to build a savings account. Um, then I wanted to dabble into investments, which I've done. And right now, I'm not even at the point where I even want to start paying those loans down. And I can. I just feel like I'm just going to continue to ride with them and continue to save because that's what works for me. And that's my budget. And um, I kind of veered off Dave's plan. So I think he's really smart. But I think that you need to do what works for you. This is a personal journey. I can only offer tips and suggestions that I know have worked for me. Um, yes, mortgage is considered a debt. And Dave thinks that you should, until you've paid off your mortgage, you are not considered debt free. I don't agree with that. I mean, I think it's a great policy and I think it's a great idea, but I think it's very unrealistic. How many people do you know can actually pay off their mortgage? Not that many. And like I said, when I shared my monthly expenses, I put 1,600 as my mortgage because I felt like that was more realistic as like a nationwide, rent or mortgage payment. My mortgage is 3,200. Um, I also have my mortgage, which I said as far as the cash system, this whole thing, I'm only putting in here variable expenses and things that I can control and that I want to control. The areas that I feel I'm spending too much on, that's what I'm using my cash system for. Most of my bills, most of my fixed bills are all automatically coming out. So there's no point in me taking the money out of the bank to put it in here just to go deposit it back in. It's already being allocated. So if I just have to take out the money that I am like, that I would need to jump to my debit or credit card for, then I'm already getting myself ahead of the game. So this is the system that I'm going with, and this is the system that I'm going to be sharing. We're going to be doing together. Maybe you need to put your fixed. Maybe you need to put, your bills. You might be paying rent, and it's obviously not coming out of your your account every 2 weeks. So you have to actually put money aside for it. So for me, it was just Um, what goes in my cash system is my bills that I can control my spending on, like my variable stuff. And then all the rest of my bills, which are mainly my fixed bills, they're all on automatic payments, like my Verizon wireless, my cell phone, my life insurance, my car lease, two of my loans, my electric bill, my mortgage. My mortgage I actually have on every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks they take half of my mortgage out, and just by doing that alone, if you make an extra mortgage payment every year, it decreases 7.5 years off of your mortgage. So if you have a 30-year mortgage and every year you make one extra mortgage payment, you'll finish paying it in 22.5 years as opposed to 30. So I'm doing that. And I feel like that's more of, a realistic of paying down my mortgage rather than Dave's whole concept of just paying it off altogether. No, I do not use Ameritrade or Robinhood, nor am I familiar with them to be able to give you any advice on that. Um, my I'm doing in other investments on the side through a friend of mine that it's something completely different. But I'm not doing those, and I don't know much about that. What I do recommend though, as far as savings and investment, one of the things that I will continue to talk about is beefing up your 401k, your 403b, your TDA, your IRA, whatever retirement or long-term savings that you have. The younger you are, the earlier off in your career, maxing it out, the better off you will be. God, I wish I listened when they told me years ago, and somebody told me, you max out your TDA, you'll retire a millionaire. I didn't do that. So I won't retire a millionaire in my TDA. I'll have money elsewhere that I'm investing. All right, I'm 27, have a 401k, and also a Roth IRA. Great job. Then you're off to a good start. Hopefully, you're maxing it out and you're putting as much money as you can into your 401k. And your Roth IRA is your after tax savings. So, for anyone who doesn't is not familiar with those, so a 401k is usually being offered through her would be offered through her job, like a corporation that's usually offered to like business entities that will offer their employees some kind of a long-term savings or retirement plan, and it's called a 401k. A lot of companies, not all of them. I know that some of them have scaled back a lot. They started scaling back after 9/11, and many of them have scaled back even more since then. The recession of like, what was that, 2008, 2009, like around there, the housing crisis, and then again with the pandemic. Some of them have pulled back, and they're matching less and less into their employees' contributions. And then a Roth IRA is like an external savings that she's putting into with her after tax dollars. So her take home money, she's putting money aside and putting it into a Roth IRA. Or a Roth IRA, if you leave one company and you go to another, if your 401k doesn't roll over, you can convert it over to a Roth IRA, which might have been what she did too. Make a mortgage payment or payment to the principal. Just make an extra mortgage payment. Essentially, if you make one extra mortgage payment, it goes directly to the principal. Don't forget, your mortgage payments every month, a portion of it is divided to your principal and a portion of it is divided to your interest on that loan. So like for your traditional 30-year mortgage, the first 10 years you are paying, it's an interest forward loan. You're pretty much paying most of your mortgage payment that you're making in the first 10 years. I don't know the exact number, but hypothetically we'll say like 70% of it is going to interest and 30% is going to principal. So in the first 10 years, let's say you have a $300,000 mortgage. In the first 10 years, you might only be paying down $50,000. And then your next 10 years, it's pretty much about 50-50. So from between year 11 and year 19 or 20, you're usually about your mortgage payment. If your mortgage payment's 2,000, usually half is for your mortgage and half is for your principal, half is for your interest. And then your last 10 years is all principal. And they do that because they know that people, by the time they get to like the end of their mortgage, they start to have extra money available and they want to start paying it down. But meanwhile, it doesn't pay to pay it down then because you've already paid all the interest on your loan. So they win. They always win. The banks always know how to win. What else was I going to say? I was just thinking of something else I wanted to say. All right. All right. Any more questions? Because my AirPods are dying and I'm going to hop off on here. And I think I'm going to do another live again tomorrow. I'll do a repeat of this for those that missed it, or those that are in a different time zone that couldn't make it. If anybody has any specific questions, please feel free to ask them on any of the videos. If there's something that I touched on that you wanted a further explanation of, please feel free to email me. My email is listed in my bio. And I will try to get on tomorrow with another live. All right. Everybody have a great night, and I hope I helped. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the support. Let me just, before I hang up, let me just say that. Thank you so much for the follows. Thank you so much for all of the support. It's amazing. Like, I couldn't believe, I literally posted my first video last Monday at 12:30, waiting for my daughter to come out as a camp counselor. And I mean, it's not even a week later. And before I hopped on this live, I had, over 2,500 followers. So I went to bed last night with 900 and I woke up this morning over 1,000. I promised you guys a live. My intention was not to get to 1,000 by August 1st. I kept saying we're going to start the budget August 1st, and it just so happened it all worked out. Everything was aligned. So welcome, friends. Hopefully I have helped you somewhat, and continue to come to the lives and ask questions. And that's it. Have a great, what? Wow, 3,300. Crazy, crazy. That's almost 1,000 just since I did this live. Holy cow. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I am going to check off because my AirPods are about to die. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a great night, everyone. Cheers. Get to budgeting. Bye.